Hey guys, welcome back to a new video. In this video we are going to worry about our Firebase setup. So as I said, we will need Firebase Storage in this project, or actually that part is optional, but you need a place to upload your songs and your images, so the images that belong to those songs. You could also just use your own website or any cloud storage or something like that, but you need a place to upload these songs, and I will just use Firebase Storage here because everybody of you can use that for free. And we will use Firestore. That is not optional because we need a place to save the meta information about songs. So for example, if we get a song, if we want to stream a song from our Firebase storage, then we also want to be able to display information about that song. So the title, the subtitle, we need to save the URL and the image URL of that song and all that stuff. That will be done in Firebase Firestore. If you don't have this initial project yet, then you need to go back to the first video of this playlist, so just the previous video, and click on the GitHub link in that video's description, and then just download that project from there, because I will just use this as an initial project in which I already added all the dependencies here that we need, all the resources, so the layouts, the styles, the colors, and all that stuff. That is already included in our project so that we can directly jump into coding. So if you don't have that, then first make sure to get that project from my GitHub repository. This video is sponsored by myself. If you want to take your learning to the next level, then click the first link in this video's description to get to my website, where you will find over 300 quiz questions for all my videos, take notes, climb the leaderboard, and compete with other Android developers just by creating a free account. So the next step is to actually set up Firebase for a project. The dependencies for Firebase are already included in this project, but what we need to do is we need to connect our app to Firebase. If you have never done that, don't worry, we just go to Tools here and click on Firebase, because Android Studio has an integrated Firebase assistant that just allows us to easily connect our Firebase console with our app. So the Firebase Console is just the web console in which you have access to all the Firebase functionality, for example, Firebase Storage and Firebase Firestore. You can see on the right hand here a new window opened, and we have all the services that we can use with Firebase. And we actually only need Firestore and Storage here. Let's just open this tab here from Firestore and click on this blue link. And you can see we already added the dependencies here. There's this check mark, but we still need to connect our app to Firebase. And that's what we want to click on here. Then you can see your default browser will open up and open your Firebase console. Maybe you need to log in here, but you just need a Google account that is free. And then you can see I have two projects here that I could connect this app to, but for this tutorial I will create a new project. So we simply click on Add Project. Now we can select a name for that project. I will just leave that name as it is, Spotify clone YouTube, that's fine. We can click on Continue. We can decide if we want to enable Google Analytics for this project. I'll just keep this checked here and click on Continue. And as a third step, we need to specify the location for Google Analytics, which I will just choose my country here for. You can choose your country, Germany. We want to use the default settings for Google Analytics. We want to check these two checkboxes here, and then we can already create that project. Then wait a little moment until this is finished, and I'll see you afterwards. Okay, when that is done, we want to click on Continue again, and Firebase will open our project here in this Firebase Console. So that is just the web interface in which you can control all your Firebase functionality. And you can see because we opened this console from within Android Studio, because we wanted to connect this console to our app, we see this window here. So your Firebase Android app has been created in Firebase, and now we are ready to connect that to our Android Studio project. So we simply click on Connect here. And then you can see the connection was successful. And if we now go back to Android Studio, you can see that check mark here. Our Firebase app is connected to our project we just created in our web console. Okay, so the next step is to actually upload all of our songs that we want to be able to stream in our app to our Firebase storage, and also add the corresponding entries to our Firestore database. So for that we want to go back to our browser, open a new tab, and just Google for Firebase Console, and then simply click on this first link here. And now you will be able to see that we have a project here, our Spotify clone. We want to open that. So the project you connected to your Android Studio project. And now on the left hand here, we have all the options that we have with Firebase. For example, storage here. We want to open that. And now we can simply click on Get Started to set that up for our project. We click on that. We want to click on Next. And you can choose a name for the location of that storage. You should choose the location that is near to where your users of your app live. So in my case, Europe West, but you can choose any other thing here. That's basically just the place where the server stands. And we click on Done, and then it will create a default bucket. So just a place in which we can save our data, our songs, our images. And once that is done, you will see this window, which is just like a normal cloud. You can click on Upload File here to upload a file to your Firebase storage. So I will just paste my path here to my files, and you can see I have these 5 MP3 files and 1 image here that we will just use as a thumbnail for all these 5 songs. But you can also as well just choose different thumbnails for each song. So we just want to select all of that here. You can of course also upload more songs here or less, but just for testing purposes, we want to do that first, that we just have these songs online, and then we click on Open, and Firebase will, or actually your computer will upload these to Firebase. Okay, but now Firebase Storage is just a place to upload our files. It is not a place to save metadata about these files. So for that, we will actually use Cloud Firestore. Let's click on that. And we need to set that up as well. So if you don't know what Firestore is, that is just a remote database that you can easily implement in your project. So we click on Create Database here. And we want to start in test mode. So those are just security rules that define who is allowed to read and write from your database. But in test mode, that just means that everybody is allowed to read and write from your database if he has the reference to it. So you should, of course, not give anybody that reference who shouldn't have that. But that just makes it easier for us to test our app. So let's click on Start in Test Mode, click on Next. And by the way, after 30 days, these rules will forbid anybody to read and write from your database. So then you have to update these. But for this tutorial, this will be fine. So I will keep this location here and click on Enable. Okay, and there we go. You can see that is our empty database here that consists of collections of documents. So we can click on Start Collection here to create a collection for all of our songs. So in that collection, we will save documents, and each document contains metadata about a specific song. So we want to give that collection the ID songs, and click on Next. And you can see we can create a document in here. We could either give it an auto-generated ID, which we don't want here. You could do that, that doesn't matter. I will just give this document the ID test song 1. So those IDs have to be unique. And then we can give this document single fields that contain values. So for example, we can give it a field title with the value on and on, which is the title of my first song. You can just choose your title or the title of your first song here, but we need to have some more information. So I will actually click on Save now, and we add these right afterwards, because on the one hand, we want to also save the image URL for that song. So just the URL to the image we want to use for that song as a thumbnail. We want to save the URL to the actual song, so to the actual MP3 file, so we can stream that. That will be a field here, and we will have a field for the subtitle of that song, for which I will just choose the interpret, and also an ID, of course. So in addition to this ID, we will also save an ID for each song that is unique. So I will give this test song 1 an additional field here for the subtitle, and that will be cartoon. So that is the interpret of that song. We click on Add. Then we want to add another field, which I will call Media ID. That will play a significant role later when we actually implement our music service, because there every song will basically have a unique ID. And we give it the value 1. So that really must be unique and also string here. We click on add. Well, and now our two types of URLs are missing, so the song URL and the image URL. From where can we actually get these? Well, of course, from our Firebase storage, because we uploaded our songs and our images to there. Let's click on storage here. You can see I added this cartoon song here, On and On. We click on that song we just added, and then we can click on file location down here and click on this access token. And that will give you a link with a token that allows you to get access to that file. So we simply click on that, go back to our Cloud Firestore, give this test song 1 an additional field called song URL, and we simply paste this link here as a value. And we will do the same for our image. So we go back to Firebase Storage. We go to our thumbnail image, in my case ncs.jpg, and we click on that, go to file location, and we click on this access token here to copy the link of that image, and go back to Cloud Firestore here, wait until that is loaded, and in our test song 1 we add one more field called image URL, and as a value we paste the URL to our image. Okay, so this is how the meta information for a single song in our Firestore database looks like. I will also do this now for the other 4 songs we have, but not on video because it's always the same. You can also do the same. You just need to take care that you replace the song URL every time with the corresponding song, of course, that you replace the media ID, just increase that by 1 for each song, and the image URL according to if you want to have different thumbnails for each song, then of course also replace that with a corresponding URL. So see you afterwards. Okay, now I'm done. I added all these 5 songs here from our Firebase storage, and of course if you need to save more information about these songs, then you can just add more fields. For example, if you want to add a specific album to which these songs belong, but for this tutorial I think this is fine. And also this process of adding songs is of course pretty tedious here, and we don't always want to do it like this. This is just for the test songs, but if you really want to make a music app like this, then you can simply write a logic in your app that you can upload songs on your own so that these entries are created automatically, and you rather have to enter this information in your app or in any other app that you want to use to upload songs to your storage here. So now let's actually go back to Android Studio and create our actual database and entity class so that we can get these songs from our Firebase storage and from Firestore. So I will close these dependencies and this Firebase assistant here, go to our root package in our main folder here and create a new package here called data, in which I will actually create another package here called entities. So an entity is in our case just a song. So we now need to describe in Kotlin style how that song looks like. So we right click on our entities package and create a new Kotlin file class. Select class here and call that a song. And yes, I want to add that to Git. We want to make that a data class here. And now just save the exact same information that we just put into our Firestore database in this song class, because it will be automatically parsed when we get it from Firestore. So on the one hand, that will be a val media ID, which is of type string, and we set that to an empty string by default. We always have to give these variables here default values because that's required for Firebase. Then we will give that a val title, which is also of type string. We also set it to an empty string by default. We give it a val subtitle, which is a string, and also set it to an empty string by default. We have a val song URL, which is a string. And we also have a val image URL, which is also a string. And here it is very important that you give these variables the exact same name as they have in Firestore. So if you gave them different names, you also have to give them different names here, because otherwise when Kotlin will try to parse that from Firestore, it will throw an error because it don't know which field to put in which variable here. Okay, and the next and last step for this tutorial is that we want to create a database class that just accesses our Firestore database and gets all the songs into our app basically. And just for structure, I will create a remote package in our data package for that. That will actually just contain that single database class I talked about. And we also won't have a local package for a local data source. But I really want to structure this project in a way that you can easily extend that later on with additional functionality. So for example, if you want to implement the functionality to cache songs, then you also need a local data source. And that's why I just structured this in this way here, that I create a package for a remote data source in which we will create a Kotlin class called music database. And we select class here. And in here, I just want to write a single function that just gets all the songs from our database, from our Firestore database, as a list in Kotlin, so as a list of these song objects we created. And I will also not implement pagination here, which you should do in a real app. That is not the focus of this playlist. And I really focus on simplicity here and on the aspect of implementing a music player. So we want to write private val Firestore, and we set that equal to Firebase Firestore dot get instance to just get an instance to the Firebase Firestore singleton here. And now with that Firestore instance here, we can get a reference to the song collection that we just created. So to the collection that contains all of our song metadata. So private val song collection is equal to Firestore dot collection. And here we need to enter the path or the name of that collection. So I will actually create a constant for that and call that song collection. We can go to our root package here, create a new package called other, in which we will create a file, a Kotlin file of class, which will be an object, so a singleton, and we call that constants. And in here we just create a const val, call that song collection, and we set that equal to songs. So that is how I named the collection in my Firestore database. We go back to music database, import that constant here, and then we are good to go, and we can implement the function that actually gets these songs. And that will actually be a very short function here, a suspend function. So if you're new to coroutines, the suspend keyword just marks a function as suspendable. So that means we can use coroutines in that function, because what we do here is an asynchronous option, because we do a network call that just takes time, and we don't want to execute that on our main thread. So that's why we execute that in a coroutine that does not execute that on our main thread. So we will call that function get all songs, which will return a list of type song. So of the type of our data class we created before. And in this function, we return a try. So we want to try to get these songs from Firestore. If something goes wrong, we want to catch that exception. We want to try to use our song collection dot get, which will just get all the documents in that collection, dot await, which makes that get function or that network call actually a suspend function, so that this will be executed in a coroutine, and that await call is only possible because we made this function a suspend function. Then this await function will just give us an object of type any. So this function doesn't know yet what type these objects have that we get from our Firestore database. So we know that they have the type song. So what we can do is we can call dot to objects, because we want to return a list here, and we also get several documents. We can call this to objects function here, in which we can just specify the class of a specific item in our list. So that will be of type song class.java. So we just want to try to get these songs here, and if something goes wrong there, or if something fails there, we catch an exception in which we just want to return an empty list. And that is already everything we need to do to get all of our songs as a list of song objects in Kotlin. That's it for this video. If you enjoyed that and if you learned something new, then hit the like button, comment below, and also if you're not a subscriber of my channel yet, then quickly make sure to do that. Click on the subscribe button below and don't miss regular Android content every second day. Have a very nice day. See you in the next video. Bye bye.